Okay, I've actually had an enormous amount of people asking me the differences and advantages, if any, on the X-H1 Fujifilm versus that of the X-T3 Fujifilm. Obviously, there are a lot of advantages on the X-T3, and I will actually mention those relational to the X-T2 in a video today or tomorrow. But what are the advantages, if any, of the X-H1 Fujifilm over that of the new X-T2? There's really about 6 main features, but I've made a list, and we'll go down them. Now, whether these are extremely important to you or not, obviously is subjective. Number one is a lot of people are coming from DSLRs, so there are DSLR ergonomics. However, interestingly enough, and I'll actually show those differences in a upcoming video, the actual X-T3 vertical grip, the actual swell that goes over the camera itself, is almost exactly halfway between that of the X-T2 and that of the X-H1. So the X-T3 was designed for that Goldilocks middle ground on the ergonomic grip with the vertical grip attached, not the camera, but with the vertical grip attached. So you have DSLR ergonomics on the X-H1. Secondly, I find this incredibly nice. There is actually a leaf spring on the shutter release, which is not found on the new X-T3, nor on the X-T2. I obviously can't show it to you, but it's a leaf spring shutter release, so it's kind of like a hair trigger on a competition sporting rifle, whatnot. It lets you actually release the shutter. A lot of people actually use that for the first time, say that the camera released the shutter without them knowing it. Of course, you very quickly get used to that. Option number 3, or point number 3, which I obviously cannot also show you, is on the inside of the camera. The shutter mechanism actually sits on a 5-point spring suspension. The X-T3 nor the X-T2 have that. What that gives it is a very, very soft, silent, stealthy shutter. When you go to use the mechanical shutter, it is extremely quiet and it cuts down on vibration quite a bit. That's not found on the X-T3. Most importantly for a lot of people is the IBIS, in-body image stabilization. The X-H1 is a stabilized sensor. Obviously, also, as most of you know, the actual sensor and output engine on the main board is identical to that of the X-T2, so image output is basically the same. Some people take a lot of gratification in the fact that this is a all Japan-built, tougher magnesium body than that of the X-T2. Whether you find that important or not, the X-T3 build quality, I actually talk about that in a video very shortly here today or tomorrow, but it's actually extremely well built. The pro video features on the X-H1 that are not actually found. There are actually some better video features, and I'm not a video guy, nor do I pretend to be one, but there are some superior video features found on the X-T3, but the X-H1, according to Fujifilm, and rightly so, is their flagship camera. That, along with the GFX, of course. Additionally, something you don't find on the X-T3 nor the X-T2 is the top display. I can actually zoom in. I don't have to zoom in that far. The top display on this is extremely useful for video. Also lights up, and you can actually reverse the colors, change the white to black and the black to white on the lettering. That's very nice on the X-H1. Also, too, additionally, something you don't have on the X-T2 or the X-T3 is a large AF on button or back button autofocus. Now, you actually can set the rear command dial on the X-T2 or the X-H1 or the X-T3, X-T2, all three cameras. You can actually set it so that the autofocus on is activated by pressing in the rear command dial. But importantly, you have a large AF on button, which of course does not exist on the X-T3. It's basically identical to the X-T2, even though it does stick out a little bit more. Other than that, that is it. That actually is the list. Go down it really, really quickly again. Leaf spring on the shutter release, 5-point spring suspension on the shutter mech. Obviously, so importantly for a lot of people is IBIS, which is important for video. It's not really important for photographers. A lot of people love to howl about how much they love it and rely upon it. I've never needed IBIS, and I still don't need IBIS. And I know video shooters need it, and some people that have shaky hands that are older, kind of like me making this video with an iPhone, right? My video is shaky right now. So I'm going to leave a comment because I've had a lot of caffeine and my video is shaking right now that I need IBIS, but anyway. Top display, pro video features, back button autofocus, and if it's important to you, made in Japan, and also DSLR ergonomics, which is incredibly important to a lot of people. So those are the differences. That's the short list of advantages of the X-H1 over the X-T3, and a lot of people requested that video, and I made sure that that list was complete, and there's nothing else that I could think of. I don't think there is. No, there is nothing else. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but anyway, that's the advantages that the X-H1 has over the X-T3, and certainly so obviously the X-T2. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.